And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rimes.
And welcome to the show. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, supporting the local community by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show and all of our expert contributors here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We greatly appreciate that. Anthony Rickman in studio with us, the Rickman Law Firm, criminal defense attorney. We're going to talk with him about some of the J6 activity pardons and Gasparilla, of course, coming up, so be careful there. Also, some technology that's changed, maybe changed the legal profession, artificial intelligence, how that's affecting the legal profession as well. We got Brian with Concept Jui-Jitsu coming in. We're going to talk a little self-defense. Nick Shriver, Decorating Elves, also to round out our all-star lineup for today's program. Appreciate you spending some time. Also, come on over to Brio Tuscan Grill. You're invited to our next gratitude party. It's on February 20th. Brio Tuscan Grill. We're going to be back at Brio International Plaza Mall. Excellent food, wonderful ambiance. Working kind of a get-together, happy hour. Come on out and meet some of our radio show partners, other friends of the program. So it's on the 20th, February 20th, 6 o'clock. Save the date. We'd love to see you there. And we always like to feature our listings on air. A couple of hot listings here from the Platinum MVP team. 8107 Sierra Manor Lane. This is a beautiful estate-style home, over an acre of land on the waterfront, 130 feet of private water frontage, 6,000-pound boat lift, private pool, spa, nice back deck there as well, 3,600-plus square feet. And you are at 4 bedrooms, 4 bath, 3-car garage, 2-story single-family home, 8107 Sierra Manor Lane in Tampa. Beautiful listing from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. All right, another listing here, Platinum MVP team, also offering 4675 Chancellor Circle Northeast. This one's in St. Petersburg. 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,160 square feet. Beautiful outdoor backyard. You got an oasis back there. Beautiful in-ground pool. No cage. I like the open pool with no cage there. You got a nice fenced-in yard, 2-story home, gorgeous on the interior as well. We have it staged. It looks beautiful. The staging compliments of our show's partner, Natasha Sanderson, over at Stage to Sell. 4675 Chancellor Circle, Northeast St. Petersburg. Brand new roof, vinyl fence, and more. You can see all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Only in America, dreaming in red, white, and blue.
All right, Anthony Rickman back in studio with us. Welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Good stuff. What a big day with the inauguration, everything. And then the J6ers are finally seeing their vindication, their freedom.
Yeah, look, hours within office, President Trump did what he said he was going to do. Called his shot, and he fulfilled his promise to release the people convicted, awaiting trial, and in prison in regards to what happened January 6th. And at the end of the day, with the stroke of the pen, he pardoned 1,500 people who were convicted due to their involvement in January 6th. And it was a blanket pardon. He didn't pick and choose and say, this guy did this or this guy did that. He pardoned everybody involved in January 6th, except for the 14 who were convicted of the sedition. Those are the Proud Boys. Those are the Oath Keepers. With those particular defendants, he commuted their sentence. And that's different than a pardon. A pardon, basically, it's a forgiveness. The government forgives you. Now, it doesn't mean your case goes away. It doesn't mean your record is expunged or sealed. It means that you're forgiven, you get your civil rights back, that you've been pardoned. Basically, the government says that we're forgiving you for what you did. A commutation means that your sentence is terminated. So for those people convicted of sedition, Stuart Rhodes, Torrio, Meggs, those individuals who are part of the Proud Boys, part of the Oath Keepers, who were serving the longest prison sentences for those individuals convicted in regards to January 6th, they were released from prisons, but their convictions will still stand. As opposed to the other 1,500 people, their convictions, they were pardoned for their crimes.
Yeah.
Then there's another segment. I mean, just about 3 months ago, there was a series of arrests. They were still arresting people for January 6th up to a few weeks ago.
78-year-old grandma.
Yeah, over in Lakeland, people are getting picked up still.
Yeah.
And we're talking 4 years later.
Wow.
And what the president did, he's terminated those prosecutions. Yeah. He directed the Department of Justice to voluntarily, with prejudice, dismiss all of those pending cases.
Yeah.
Essentially ending all the prosecutions and releasing everybody involved with January 6th.
As it should be, yeah, because they, the story about the Fedsurrection and all, that was true. I mean, there were people in the audience, we're going into the building, whatever happened with that guy, I think his last name.
We can't say his name.
Yep.
Can't say his name. We could get in trouble for that one.
Right.
So, but no, at the end of the day, and that's one of the things that people talked about, is we don't know, the instigators, the agitators. We know that there were at least 21 government informants who were involved, who were agitators. We know there are people involved in the government who were there egging people on, provoking people to engage in the activity.
Right.
And the question is, where do you draw the line? There are people there who walked in peacefully. There are people in there who weren't breaking or throwing things. So for the president, what he did, he didn't draw any lines. He pardoned everybody. And I know there are people within the Republican Party who said, we only want to pardon those who may have just trespassed, may have walked in. Not necessarily want to pardon those people who are involved in what they perceive to be violent activities. Right. Maybe not commute the sentences of those who are involved in what they perceive to be the uprising and sedition. But the president said, no, we're wiping the slate clean for everybody.
And let's not forget about Ashley Babbitt, the only one killed that day, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, when you look at Biden pardoned a lot of people, but he didn't pardon the guy who shot Ashley Babbitt.
Oh,
so, at the end of the day, one of the things that a lot of people in the Trump administration have said is, or the incoming administration is to look at that. Because at the end, because when you look at who was actually killed on January 6th, she's the only person who was actually killed in the Capitol in January 6th.
Yeah, and they continue to lie about it. You look at some of the Democrat, I was flipping back and forth yesterday, looking at different channels, and they're just lying about certain narratives. It's just crazy how they can continue. And then also the pipe bomb. You got to get to the bottom of that pipe bomb. There was something there. There's something being hidden.
Look, the pipe bomb, the missing documents, the videos that miraculously no longer existed, the videos that show the escorting through the Capitol, Nancy Pelosi's involvement allegedly. So there's so many things that were left unanswered, and the narrative that was given is not the true narrative of what really happened that day. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we have a new administration. Hopefully we can move forward now. Yeah. Moving forward from that day, moving forward now for the next 4 years, looking forward with the new administration.
The golden age of America is upon us. You've got the Gulf of America. We're going to take the Panama Canal back. What about Greenland? I just want to get to Greenland real quick. Check out this clip from Charlie Kirk.
The first of which is just the good old-fashioned purchase.
How do we?
It can also happen with doing a deal with the current Greenlandic government and turn them into kind of how we have Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands. Puerto Rico is its own kind of distinct status, but we have a lot of these kind of agreements all throughout the Pacific of American territories where you have full constitutional American rights, even regardless of them being a far-off distant land. And so Greenland definitely could fall under that category.
Yeah, so it's interesting to just to explore that, right? Just to even have the audacity to say, hey, what about American exceptionalism? Let's expand our reach a little bit more.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to be part of America?
Right.
To the extent where you have the benefit of the protection of America, you have the benefit of, receiving our resources, and we also have the strategic advantage, if we were to take Greenland, of the strategic position of Greenland.
Exactly.
I mean, look, when you look at Greenland, there is people like, well, what's there? It's ice. No, when you look at the position in regards to Russia, in regards to the other areas, if we don't do something in Greenland, someone else may.
They will.
And when you look at Greenland and Denmark, I would much rather be America than part of Denmark.
They're being mistreated by the Danes is what they hear.
With that end, you talk to people from Greenland, I'm pretty sure they would want to be Americans. And
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, we're not taking them over. We're not going in with our army and saying, hey, we're taking you. It'd be something that we mutually agreed upon. And we saw, Trump Jr. go out there, and he's already mending that fence and trying to bring that part of our country.
Yeah, let them vote on it.
Yep.
Let them vote on it. Let's see how it plays out. All right, we're talking with Anthony Rickman, the Rickman Law Firm here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rimes. And, there's a lot of things to get to. Definitely Gasparilla. Gasparilla's coming every year. You see an uptick in calls to your office for criminal defenses, DUIs, BUIs.
Yeah, so Gasparilla this weekend coming up. I mean, we see a lot of, there's a much larger police presence. Even this last weekend with the Children's Parade, Tampa Police Department, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, they really did an excellent job. They were out in full force this last weekend, and they're going to be even a larger presence this weekend at the adult parade. And that presence doesn't just occur at the parade itself, the night before, the night of, the days before. So we're going to see an uptick in law enforcement presence in the Tampa area. One of the things we're going to see is a much larger saturation of DUI patrol. So what that means is that there'll be a lot more DUI arrests most likely. Yeah. In my experience, we see an uptick in DUI arrests. So if you had anything to drink, be careful driving. If you have consume alcohol and drive a motor vehicle, expect law enforcement to be out in full force. And if you're arrested, pulled over, and under suspicion of DUI, it's important if you are arrested to have a good attorney to represent you throughout the DUI throughout the course of the case. Yeah. And my law firm handles DUI cases. We handle BUI cases. One of the other things, Gasparilla, if you're on a boat and you're coming in, one of the large things we see, a big type of case we see in around Gasparilla is BUIs. Yep. And people think that, hey, I can be on my boat, I can drive, I can operate my boat. Yep. Look, if you're anywhere around that console, anywhere around that wheel, you could be charged with DUI, even if you're not the captain. Yep. If you're sitting there and the captain walks away and you're in what we call actual physical control of that vessel, meaning behind the wheel, and a Fish and Wildlife officer or a Coast Guard officer or a TPD or HCSO, they see you behind the wheel of that vessel, they can stop you and board your boat for any reason. Yep. It's not like a car where they have to see a traffic infraction. Okay. It's not like you're in a car and they got to see you weaving or hitting the center line or violating the law in some way. On a boat, they can stop you for anything. Wow. They can light you up. Hey, we want to make sure you have enough life jackets on it, on your boat. Get on the boat, they smell alcohol, and the next thing you know, you're doing field sobriety exercises. And you're arrested for DUI. And the same rules apply. Over a .08, they're going to ask you to submit to a breath test. You go to jail. You're charged with a BUI. You go to court. You face the possibility of going to jail, being on probation. And all the sanctions that come with the DUI will also apply to a boating under the influence. Yeah. So if you're on the water, be careful. Designate a driver for your boat. And if you get arrested for BUI, call me. We represent clients charged with BUI, charged with DUI, charged with all sorts of crime throughout the state of Florida.
Yeah, reach out to the show hotline. We'd love to plug you into our network, 727-263-3707. Call or text the show hotline, 727-263-3707. Save that number in your phone. At some point, you may need it. And if it's not Anthony Rickman, it's maybe one of our 80 different categories of consumer advocate content and advice that you hear here daily on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Yeah, so it's interesting. It's a different threshold than it's in a car. They would need an actual warrant to come in and check the car, unless they have dogs, right? If they smell something. And then on a boat, it's just, hey, that's a right that you have on the waterway. But is it a different level of suspicion because maybe they're looking for drugs or something like that?
No. So when we talk about making contact with you, when you're driving your car, law enforcement needs either reasonable suspicion that you're committing a crime, whether it be DUI or some other crime, to stop your vehicle, or probable cause that you committed a traffic infraction, whether that be speeding, failing to maintain a single lane, running a red light. So to actually get to that point to stop your car, they need a heightened level of suspicion.
Got it.
Than on a boat. On a boat, all they need to do is just see you operating your boat. They can say, hey, we're going to board you. We want to make sure you have enough life jackets. We want to make sure you have a whistle. Yep. We want to make sure you have enough safety devices. Yep. And then once they get on your boat or they check to see if you have enough devices, by the way, you've been drinking. Yeah. If you have open containers on your boat, that's enough probable cause to engage you in the next phase of that investigation. Yep. And that would be an investigation for a BUI. So in a criminal case, for instance, on a DUI, one of the first things I look at is whether or not law enforcement had probable cause or had reasonable suspicion to stop your vehicle. We always hear, hey, they stopped my car because I was weaving. And I get a video and I see there's no weaving. I would file something called a motion to suppress, saying that the law enforcement officer violated their Fourth Amendment right against unlawful searches and seizures because they stopped the vehicle without probable cause, because it wasn't weaving, it wasn't swerving. They didn't commit a traffic infraction. And then anything that happened after that bad stop is inadmissible, including a DUI investigation. That's different than on a boat, because all you need on a boat is just somebody pulling up and saying, hey, I want to check your life jackets. Yeah. I don't need probable cause.
Right.
Now, they can have it if you violate a no-wake zone. They can have it if you're, doing something unlawful on the boat, if you're outside the markers or whatever it may be. Yep. but they don't need that.
Got
They
it.
can just stop you for whatever reason
Yeah.
if you're on the boat.
Man, super interesting. There's a lot in the legal profession to be cautious of and to be cognizant of, and that's one of the things you see too is you're looking at different social media sites is this new phenomenon of I get pulled over, I'm going to pull out my camera and I'm going to fight the not realistic or when you're figuratively speaking, fight the cop and have the camera up. And I was asking a friend of mine, a detective, he's a detective, saw him after church. I said, does that frustrate you? Do you, when people put a camera in your face and say, I'm not giving you my driver's license, or I'm not going to do this? To me, it's just a level of disrespect. And you notice a lot of the younger generation or people trying to do that with deputies on these videos when they pull them over or they're approaching them at certain areas. My advice would just be, have respect, because at some point it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out nicely for you. We got to leave it there. Come back more with Anthony Rickman. Quick break here. How is AI affecting the legal profession? Interesting clip I'm going to play with that and more with Anthony Rickman coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, online at consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon BRimes here. Did you know that we buy houses cash? We will close quickly and give you a fair offer on your home or residential properties, even commercial properties, and we will give you a fair cash offer, close quickly, and be diligent when you're shopping these types of scenarios, because a lot of the wholesalers, the flippers out there, they will sign you up on an as-is contract, and they will shop that contract and try to find a buyer, but they may not find the buyer, and they won't close. So this is Brandon BRimes, 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com. Brandon BRimes, we buy houses cash and fast. Attention business owners, did you know we have 100% financing options available? Our no money down program offers 100% financing for business owners. If you are currently leasing your commercial space, you can purchase real estate for no money down. Additionally, the program offers money for working capital, equipment, and business fixtures. You can even pay off current business debt. Reach out at 813-917-1894. That is my direct cell. You can call or text 813-917-1894. BRimes at kw.com. And that is our 100% financing, no money down program for business owners. We would love to help you buying, selling, or investing in real estate. 813-917-1894. BRimes at kw.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon BRimes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. How is AI affecting the legal profession? We're going to talk with Anthony Rickman here in just a moment. Before we do, one of our hot listings here from the real estate team, Platinum MVP team. We got land for sale. This one's in Ocala, Florida, 12255 North US Highway 27. Vacant land. We got 3 acres of land. A1 is the zoning. Tranquil country living and unparalleled convenience. You're close to the prestigious Golden Ocala Country Club as well, just around the corner. Vacant land for sale. One of our hot real estate listings from the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. We always like to feature our listings, helping our sellers sell faster for more money. 14135 Cypress Circle in Tampa. This one's a villa-style condo, Cypress Clusters at Carrollwood Village. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2 carport, 1,308 square feet. Gorgeous property, beautiful, lighter colors in the kitchen areas, stainless steel appliances, community pool, and more. Check out 14135 Cypress Circle in Tampa, and you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, Anthony, I wanted to get to this one just because it's kind of unique. I came across this, and it's talking about how AI is helping legal professions.
How is AI changing the legal world? And he said, oh, it's going to be one of the greatest applications of AI. I said, why? He said, soon people without money will be able to get the best possible legal briefing for almost no cost. So here's how this would work. There's this thing now called, it's a Thomson Reuters company. It's not called Copilot, it's called Co-Counsel. You are able to upload thousands of documents. So if you have someone who's wrongly incarcerated, all of the documents regarding your potential loved ones. We're not there yet, but we're getting there.
All right, so for sake of time, Anthony, that's the setup, and how does it apply to your business?
So essentially what it does, it makes it easier to access, upload, and view legal briefs and documents. And in our profession, like any profession, AI is definitely affecting it. I know lawyers, and there's lawyers out there who are having AI write motions for them and do briefs themselves. And look, you don't want a lawyer doing that. I mean, at the end of the day, you want a human being writing your motions. Mm-hmm. You want a human being making your arguments. You don't want a computer doing it for you. I mean, the purpose of being an orator or being a litigator is being able to get out there and talk. Mm-hmm. AI can't negotiate a plea for you. Right. AI can't give a closing argument. In fact, there was a case over in New York where a guy, Frias from the Fugees, had his attorney did his closing argument solely in AI. Wow. And he got up there and he argued something that was completely irrelevant to the case. And he actually created the AI software that he utilized to make the argument. Huh. And his client was convicted. Wow. And then he appealed, and the court said, well, this is what you chose. Your attorney did this. Because at the end of the day, it's a computer. And at the end of the day, when you're hiring a lawyer, talk to your lawyer. For your purposes, you're showing consumers, make sure your attorney's not doing this. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you're hiring a lawyer that's going to utilize AI and technology to do your briefs, and why even hire a lawyer? Yeah, do it yourself. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I would make sure that when you're talking to a lawyer, to make sure they're not doing it. I write my own motions. I write my own briefs. I talked to a prosecutor today. I drafted a 51-page stand your ground motion the other day. And he asked me, did you write this yourself? Yes, I wrote it myself. It's what you're paying me to do. Nice. My clients are paying me to represent them. They're paying me for my mind, for my legal skill, for my knowledge, and my ability to argue a case. Yeah. And if I'm writing it myself and I'm drafting it myself, I'm putting my sweat equity, my time, my talents into this motion, then I'm going to know what I'm arguing in front of the judge, as opposed to hitting a program and reading something that some computer is generating for me.
Yeah, exactly. When you think about that too, and you think about it from a professional standpoint, like myself, real estate, mortgage background, 20 plus years in the business, criminal defense, 20 plus years roughly, right? Mm-hmm. When you pay a professional for that, what you're paying, and then to flip it also is like if you ask someone, hey, what's your most valuable thing? Some people might say, oh, my car, my watch, my house, No, it's your cumulative knowledge, skills, and abilities that you've grown and nurtured and developed and spent money on to this point in your life to be able to offer that service to a client. So I think that's what they should deserve.
And I've seen the evolution in the legal field. When I started in law school, I was not allowed to use a computer my first year of law school. I went to Florida State. And at Florida State, way back in 2002 when I started law school, our first year we had to use the books. Yeah. And it was old school. Like people were tearing pages out of books because you only had one binder and we all used the same books. That's true. Oh man. And now we're talking about AI writing your briefs for you. Yeah. And I can tell you there's lawyers who don't know how to read a book. Yeah. They don't know how to go to the statute book. In my office, I still have old school statute books. Right. And people are like, what's that? I have it tabbed.
Yeah, you have to reference.
And when I'm in court, I bring my books. Yeah. And I have paper documents because I want to be able to refer to something and walk up to a judge and show them a document. I love it. Or show an exhibit. So the profession has evolved, but at some extent to the detriment.
Yeah, there's something to be said for the old school way of doing things. Working it out, working the problem out the hard way. Anthony Rickman, therickmanlawfirm.com, therickmanlawfirm.com. Check him out online. Thanks for coming in, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. All right. Coming up, we got Frias of Concept Jui-Jitsu on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Self-defense, weapons expert. We're going to talk more about self-defense with him coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online at BrandonRimes1 at CQB Show. And please subscribe to our Rumble and YouTube channels out there. We appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3700.
The consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
Welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. We got Brian Frias in studio with us. Concept Jui-Jitsu, also shivworks.com. We're going to talk with him about his business and self-defense and all that good stuff coming up here in just a minute. Before we do, quick shout out to our friend Lee over at Lee's Royal Services. He does a great job cleaning our real estate properties, residential, commercial properties. He is also a handyman, so home or office cleaning. Lee'sRoyalServices.com. Check him out online. Lee'sRoyalServices.com for the interior of your properties. And on the exterior, we want you talking to Heights Soft Wash, pressure washing company right here in Tampa Bay. HeightsSoftWash.com. I know the owner, Ramin, personally. He's a great guy. He does a great job. HeightsSoftWash.com for all of your pressure washing needs, residential, commercial properties, driveways, fences, and all that good stuff. All right, a couple of hot listings here. And then we're going to jump into this content with Brian. This one's 5444 90th Avenue Circle East in Parrish, Florida. Beautiful listing from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We got a pool in the backyard. You've got 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 3-car garage. 2,600 square foot single family home. You're living on the waterfront there. You have a pond in the neighborhood. 0.36 acre lot. So over a third of an acre lot. Beautiful property here. Owner motivated in a great community. It's Ancient Oaks is the community. 5444 90th Avenue Circle East in Parrish. All right. Another one at 1905 Masters Way, Plant City. 432 29 square feet, 0.38 acre lot, no backyard neighbor, split floor plan, gorgeous interior. It looks like a great opportunity in Plant City, Florida, East Hillsborough County. 1905 Masters Way, Plant City. Walden Lake has lots of amenities as well. The community has walking trails, dog park, playground, sports complex, and more. See all of our listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com.
Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down.
All right, Brian, welcome back in, sir.
How's it going, man?
Yeah, good to see you again. Good to see you, man. Yeah, so tell us what you've been up to. You've been traveling a little bit, and you are an instructor as well, so you're going around and teaching people how to, self-defend themselves. And also, I remember one time we were talking about, somebody comes at you with a knife. Hey, here's the steps to take that knife to, there's probably a professional term that I'm not saying, right? You're going to
disarm. De-escalate is the current buzzword that everyone's trying to throw into their tactics, but no one really defines what it actually means. I think that's the biggest problem with self-defense in general is people get really ambiguous with their language and they're not specific or precise, which is all good for a soundbite, but that's not going to hold up when you have to defend your actions sitting before a judge and a jury as to why I did what I did in that situation. If you can't speak to it clearly and precisely, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah, if you don't believe that, ask Daniel Penny.
Yeah. Well,
Daniel Penny
he got it right. He got exonerated. I thought that was a great ruling for that. The charges never should have been brought against him.
Exactly.
There was a bunch of other cases in the same area under the same conditions, and actually worse. I think one of them, the guy got stabbed a bunch of times. He was released with no charges at all. So unfortunately, I think the state of the country, although it might change pending yesterday's results,
going to change. The golden age of America.
Yeah, here we are. Gulf of America and all that. I'm pretty excited about it. But
that's right.
I think as of right now, it's more important where you are and who you did it to than what you did.
Exactly.
That seems to be the bigger issue, which is not the way it was meant to be. That's not the intention of our legal system, but that does seem to be how it's unfolding.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, for the last 4 years, for sure, I'm like, hey, look, I'm not going into a blue district at all. I'm not flying to New York. I'm not going to Boston. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to put myself in that position because I would be the one that stands up as the good Samaritan and does something. That's the way I was raised. You see somebody in a situation. Look, that's the way I was raised. Today hopefully it's going to change. We'll see. Yeah, and let me ask you, just backing up. The first time we spoke since the new year, especially on air, but do you sense a feeling of optimism out there? Do you talk to other business owners? Do you see that it just seems like there's so much energy now, especially with the new administration taking office?
Talking to a lot of guys out there who are in our industry and then industries adjacent to ours, most people seem to be very, very hopeful, but everyone's waiting on pins and needles to see what happens over the next couple months. Yeah. I think the next couple months will be a little tumultuous, but after that, I think everyone's very excited for the potential.
Yeah,
huge
cautiously
potential.
Optimistic.
Yes,
right?
It's a great way to describe
Trust but verify.
Yeah.
Like all those come to mind. So tell us about Concept Jiu-Jitsu, because you've got a great location. I had the opportunity to go and roll with you and get some training, and I got to get more consistent. I'm going to be doing that now. But man, it was a great time. I always say, first-hand experience, first-class operation that you and your wife run.
Thank you very much. We try to keep it extremely clean. I don't like any skin infection, so as you can see, it's pretty polished area. We clean up after every single class, but we're running 2 adult classes every single day from 11 to 12, and then we have another one from 6 to 7 on Tuesdays like we are today. We have an extra class from 7 to 8 where we just drill and focus on technique, so we get extremely nerdy. We have a kids class from 5 to 6, and over the last few months, that one has been exponentially growing. We have a lot of kids, and I had never spent any time teaching kids, and it's actually been a ton of fun. There's some awesome ones who I love and I wish I could bring home. And then there's some others that I'm really happy they leave at the end of the day. But it's amazing how much they can retain in such a short amount of time. It's pretty unbelievable, the growth that you can see when you give them some simple explanations and some drills and they have a blast. So the gym itself has been growing at a very good pace. We're happy with where it's at. I'd love to get more adults in so we can start doing a little bit more complex stuff. But wherever the skill level is, anyone's welcome to come in. I just got my second stripe on my black belt from Andre Gaval at Otto's headquarters in San Diego. And while I was out there, it was great to train with those guys. That is the #1 gym in the world as far as world champions. They have the most world champions. And I was there for 3 years full-time doing nothing but training jiu-jitsu. And then I became a cop. And while I was a cop for the 10 years I lived in San Diego, I was still doing jiu-jitsu at least 5 days a week, if not more than one time a day. Yeah. So I brought that the same way they train back to here. Yeah,
that's super awesome, man. That the ability, I'll never forget playing football my whole life growing up. But when I learned how to wrestle, as we did USA wrestling at 7th and 8th grade, and then freshman year, I ended up going to state, and but to be able to understand, like, hey, look, even though that person's bigger to me, I can take him down, I can control his legs, I get him on the ground, I can do some stuff. That was a level, especially for kids. Going back to the kids topic, that was a level of confidence for me. To know, like, hey, I don't care how big they are, I'll still take them down and I can do my work on the ground if I need to.
The biggest thing that you're going to get from jiu-jitsu, especially if you're not a guy who's actively hunting people for a living like a cop or a mill guy, is the resiliency under pressure. You're going to have someone bigger than you that's smushing your face into the mat, and after a few exposures of that, you might not be able to get them off of you, but you'll take a deep breath and go, well, I'm not dead yet. This isn't the worst that it can be. Yeah. And especially when you're young, that's a valuable, potent lesson for you to get and then take with you as you grow. Yeah. Resiliency under pressure, decision-making when everything else is chaotic, you're still making conscious, sound decisions. That's the biggest takeaway that you're going to get from doing jiu-jitsu. You spoke to wrestling. Wrestling, to me, I like to wrap everything together: grappling, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. It's all the same sort of stuff. Yeah. I think that is the #1 foundation for any good self-defense program. Right. And I always separate jiu-jitsu from self-defense, but wrestling is the core of any good self-defense, because nothing teaches you to stay on your feet better and in a shorter amount of time than wrestling. Judo's great, but it's hard to learn for most people. Wrestling, we know how to keep you standing pretty quick in a short amount of time. We're really good at that, especially in the States with wrestling. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, but they shoot in, you sprawl. I mean, there's all these different counters, and that's really what a lot of MMA is like, hey, they do this, here's my counter. They did this. They presented that. Here's probably where they're going. If you just joined us, by the way, we're talking with Brian Frias, Concept Jui-Jitsu. He's our self-defense expert here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Also, shivworks.com. And shivworks, is that more of the de-escalation? The guy comes out a knife, how to properly disarm and things like that?
Yeah, Concept Jiu-Jitsu is our sport jiu-jitsu gym. I do ShivWorks courses out of there. ShivWorks is the self-defense flag that I teach under and instruct under. It's been around for about 25 years. Craig Douglas was the founder of that, and I've been teaching with him for about 3 years. Every weekend we go to a new place somewhere in the country. We have a few government contracts. We teach for a few 3-letter agencies. You can guess whichever ones you think those might be.
Yep.
And we do a bunch of open enrollment for the general public, regardless of the skill level. You can come having never done anything before, and in one weekend you'll leave the course well more prepared to take care of yourself than when you started. And I really like to separate martial arts from self-defense. Martial arts is where you focus heavily on the counter to the counter to the counter. A self-defense program is going to be extremely closed loop. I'm going to tell you your goal, how you're trying to get there, and if you understand those, more or less, you might be able to figure out a solution on the fly with an extremely limited number of options.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to take away things for self-defense. For martial arts, I'm trying to add as much stuff as I can for you.
Got it.
And that really speaks to how much time do we have with the person.
Yeah, I love it. All right, good stuff, man. Check them out online, Concept Jiu-Jitsu, but also shivworks.com, SHIVWORKS, shivworks.com. Brian Frias, thanks for coming in. Also, what's the physical location if they want to stop by Concept Jiu-Jitsu?
It's right off the 19 and Countryside on the frontage road. You can head over there and you'll see us right on the side of the freeway.
Yeah, and hit the website up and check out the classes. Come on in. And thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, quick break. Coming back, more on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We got Nick Shriver coming up, decoratingelves.com, another one of our expert contributors, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show, coming up here. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rimes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.